Sample generating electromagnetic interference. Professor!
Hawking's ghost, what was that?
Okay.
Welcome, robot legends, giant worms, and alien fairies, to episode 521 of an Unearthly podcast, streaming live on August 10th, 2024, and featuring K-9, The Last Oak Tree, written by Jim Noble and starring Robert Maloney as Alistair Griffin, Keegan Joyce as Starkey, Philippa Coulthard as Georgie Turner, Daniel Weber as Darius Pike, and John Leeson as the voice of K-9. I am Bill Sylvia, the one in black, and wow, I went through all that without needing a breath. With me are acting technical director Aaron Romeo Moon Burke.
Hello, everyone.
And color commentator Alex Fireheart.
Hello.
Or I forgot I had been referring to you as co-host. I deleted all the titles because the technical director changes every week now. So I'll say I'm so very happy this week. We've gone back to decent weather. And
Yes.
by decent weather, I mean that the highs are below 80 and the nights seem to be in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a completely different person. Just like, I mean, I'm still beyond broke. I'm reshared my Ko-fi link so that I don't will get caffeine withdrawal headaches for the next 2 weeks. Which, yeah, code Ko-fi.com/one in black if you don't want me to have caffeine headaches and have some money. If you don't have money, you're like me. But beyond that, like, being at home, I feel a whole lot more alive and human than I did when it was 90. Same with being outdoors. Just so different.
Yep.
Also, I got my new glasses, so that also helps. I'm not constantly worrying about a lens falling out. How about you two?
Me personally, I have been enjoying having the house to myself. Yeah, like my parents had to take one of my nieces down to, well, they didn't have to, they volunteered to take one of my nieces down to the state capitol for some stuff. But seemingly she was getting allergy tests. Just in case, because it's something that seemingly happened to one of my sisters recently. So she was like, I should probably get checked for that. And it has just been me and the family dog, and that's been it. And it's been lovely. No family related stress. I don't have to put up with it, my sisters, because the locks got changed so they can't get in even if they want to. Which specifically only happened because I made it pretty clear to my dad that, like, even if they tell them not to come over, one of my sisters will absolutely come over anyway to like sponge off them for a bit. So like the day before they left, my dad changed all the screen door locks. And I've just been locking the house up every night and then coming back over to the granny flat. But yeah, it's been very, like, I think I almost jerked to myself yesterday that I was just feeling very tranquil It was just like, huh. If only it was like this all the time.
You're right.
But I'd have to be able to afford my own place. But I can't, so oh well.
Or a roommate that you vibe with.
Yeah, pretty much. Um uh but yeah, it was very, and if it's also the majority of the reason that I have Geek Talk is because I also had managed to get this Friday and Saturday just gone, so yesterday and the day before effectively for me, off work. Even though I think most of my what I have for Geek Talk I'd already seen by then, but yeah, I basically just I go over to the main house to keep the dog company for a bit so he isn't too mopey. Um and just so like he knows that someone is in fact here. Um and God, like it's so funny. Like I meant to get groceries the other day, and then I get like almost all the way to the nearby supermarket, which is like like a decent walk, but not that far. Um, which is the only reason I walked. And then realized, oh, I don't have my wallet.
Ah,
Whoops. Um, and I don't think I can use my card through my phone in any way. I don't think I've got it set up to do that. So that was out. So I ended up just getting McDonald's because I was able to use the app thing to get some free stuff because I had enough points.
it's funny. I had well, actually, that's why I had Taco Bell yesterday, was because I got some free stuff. But for some reason, my card was being rejected by the Dunkin' Donuts app, so I had McDonald's today because it was taking my card. Don't know why there was a difference.
Mm.
But it was funny. I was listening to you. I just realized, like, it'd be on a time travel show. It's interesting that, like, just thinking about the fact that Commonwealth countries refer to time as being gone. And like that could be the. I mean, I don't know if it would be the premise of a Doctor Who episode, but at least a Doctor Who like scene.
Mm.
But that was just something funny that kind of occurred to me thinking about that, listening.
Mm.
How about you, Aaron?
Had a fun day. For one thing, I've been watching a lot of Olympics and stuff, just all kinds of stuff like canoeing, and watched some Taekwondo today and stuff. So, and then also I had an anime party today. So had my neighbor and a friend over, and we finished up one series and started another. We finished up El Hazard 2. So then we'll be moving on to El Hazard, the alternate world, which is the third part of the OVA series, I believe, and then on to possibly the Wanderers after that, which is like one of the early isekai anime that came out back in like 1992 or so, way old. And then after that we watched Dark Gathering, which is a very new series from 2023. Basically a ghost hunting anime. The little girl who's the spooky little girl who's like the star of the show is capable of putting evil spirits into stuffed animals, into plushies. So, so that's interesting.
On behalf of the cast members who are who are not with us for various reasons, and all other people who enjoy watching anime that was made in the 80s. I resent you referring to 1990s as very old.
Well,
I mean, to be fair, I was born in the 90s and I'm in my approaching my mid 30s, so.
But you're not an anime.
Well, yeah. I was also born in 81, so and enjoyed my fair share of 80s anime as well. And still insist to this day that that some of the Sunbow productions are technically anime, like the G.I. Joe movie and the Gem and the Holograms TV show and stuff like that. And there's lots of anime techniques used in like Rainbow Bright and all that stuff too. So that's why.
So just on a quick glance, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Ranma 1/2, all predate the 90s. Sailor Moon didn't come out until 1992.
Yeah. My first anime was Famous Dog Jolly, which is known as Belle and Sebastian in the U.S. And then
Hmm.
the anime that got me into everything was Project A-ko, which I believe was 1986. Um, I actually ordered that VHS tape by cutting out an ad in the Sci-Fi magazine. The magazine
Hmm.
for the Sci-Fi Channel ran an ad for Project A-ko. Order your VHS tape from Right Stuff International.
Ah,
So, sent in the ad, and we got the catalog, sent in the money for the VHS tape through the catalog, and that's how we got it. English dub and everything.
Hmm.
So, yeah, otherwise it was a really good day today, so.
alright. On tonight's show, we have a fair amount of birthdays, normal amount of birthdays, very small amount of news, although we do have our big finish update. We have a solid amount of geek talk. Alex has been busy, as was alluded to. Then we have our episode summary, review, final thoughts, and ratings.
So
Alex
yep,
can
with
kick us off
the
with the birthdays.
yep. So on the 4th of August, we have Ruth Madeley, who played Shirley Bingham in The Star Beast and The Giggle. Seemingly intended to be in Legend of Ruby Sunday until they liked Lenny Rush too much. Turned at 37. We better see her back, by the way. She
I
was a
think
fun
she's
character.
confirmed for season 2.
That's good.
Or the
On
Christmas
the
special, I don't know which.
yeah. On the 5th of August, we have Brian Minchin, who was the script editor for Torchwood Series 1 and 2, and parts of Doctor Who Series 4 and 5. I was a producer for Torchwood Series 5, so Miracle Day, and Sarah Jane Adventures Series 4 and 5, and executive producer for Doctor Who Series 8 through 10, and Class turned 46. On the 7th of August, we have Shobna Gulati, so Najia Khan in series 11 and 12, so Yaz's mum,
Yeah.
I'm going to assume. Yeah.
I don't think her sister is turning 58. So yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so she turned 58. Also on the 7th of August, we have Wayne Knight, who played Brian Friedkin in
Better known
Torchwood
for
series.
Jurassic Park, Seinfeld, and probably a lot of other things.
Yeah. I was going to say, the name sounds familiar even if without me looking him up. On the 8th of August, we have Terry Nation, creator of the Daleks, writer of 11 serials between 63 and 79. Would have been 94, but died in 97 at the age of 66. On the 9th of August, we have Roberta Tovey, who played Susan in the Dalek movies by Aru, and she turned 71. On the 10th of August, we have Kate O'Mara, who was the Rani from 85 to 87, and in that one thing we don't talk about in the 90s. And would have been 85, but died
That's why she had 3 credits. I didn't even look.
Would have been 85, but died in 2014 at the age of 74. And finally, also on the 10th of August, we have Murray Melvin, who played Billis Manger in Torchwood Series 1 and some Big Finish. Would have been 92, but died in 2023 at the age of 90. So happy birthday to Ruth, Brian, Shobna, Wayne, Terry, Roberta, Kate, and Murray.
Right. And from there, we actually skip all the way down to new releases. So we have one new release from Demon Records. The Crusade is coming out on vinyl in October. So for those not familiar, Demon Records has been releasing basically limited edition versions of. I'm pretty sure they're all lost Doctor Who episodes that we tend to only have telesnaps for as vinyl records. So this one is on yellow and green vinyl. It's 2 episodes survive normally. So this is going to be their standard thing of adding in linking narration for to make it into a sort of audiobook, audio drama type thing.
Mm.
As far as I know, I don't know anybody who's actually bought and listened to one of these to say like kind of what the general feel is, but that's how they tend to announce it. The release is dedicated to the memory of narrator William Russell, so this may be the last thing he did, who died in June, of course. There's a typo on the Cult Box article. It says you can reorder it instead of pre-order it, and that's probably because of the press release. But you can order it on Amazon UK, and again, it comes out in October. Oh, and Demon Records. Okay, I don't know if we knew this. It says Demon Records is a subsidiary of BBC Studios. I'm not sure if we knew that.
I don't think it's come up before.
Mm-hmm.
Though maybe they say it and we just never bother to
Right.
notice.
Moving from there, we have Big Finish, and I think I might have mentioned this last week. Oh no, that's right. Last week we didn't have a chance to look because the Big Finish website was
Yeah.
kablooey. But Big Finish has changed the way they present their news, and it's now kind of impossible for me to tell when a given thing was released or will be released. So I'm just going to kind of do monthly digests based on what's listed on the Big Finish site at the beginning of any given month. So first we have Doctor Who Death World. So based on that title, it's probably a novel adaptation. We see the first, second, and third Doctors all on the cover. Starring John Culshaw, Fraser Hines, Katie Manning, and Stephen Noonan. Then we have The Death and Life of River Song, Series 1. So this is the follow-up series after The Diary of River Song ended. Starring Alex Kingston. Then we have Torchwood Endgame, starring Naoko Mori. Then there's Doctor Who, the War... don't need to say Doctor Who necessarily, but the War Doctor Rises, so the young War Doctor with Morbius the Mighty. So this is probably a tie-in to the Morbius in the Dark Gallifrey series is probably crosses over, starring Jonathan Carley as the Doctor. Then Susan's War 2, Family Ties, starring Damian Lynch, Carol Ann Ford, Jonathan Carley, so the War Doctor, and Sonny McGann. Interesting, we have another McGann in there. We have Six Doctor Adventures, The Trials of a Time Lord. We had a serial named Trial of a Time Lord. Wait a second. Oh, Trials of a Time Lord. My mistake. Starring Nicola Bryant, Colin Baker, and Bonnie Langford. No idea why Colin Baker doesn't get first billing or why Carol Ann Ford doesn't get first billing on Susan's War. Then we have The War Master Part 2, starring Lisa Bowerman, Derek Jacobi, and James Marsters. And that is our August Big Finish releases and the end of our news. Then we move on to Geek Talk, which is a solid block of Alex talking about Star Wars.
Yep. I'll say the McGann surname coming up again was not a fluke. That is actually Paul McGann's son, seemingly.
Okay.
Or just kid in general. I don't remember if I actually saw the gender, but in any case.
I knew he had multiple siblings, so I figured they were related.
So yeah, I finally got around to watching a decent chunk of Star Wars stuff. As the first up, Star Wars Visions, Volume 2. I'm realizing this is referred to now, even though Disney Plus just calls it Season 2. I feel like I liked this collection a bit more. Like, I love anime, don't get me wrong. But, like, because a lot of them were very traditional anime looks, there was only like a handful that actually stood out because they were like a different kind of anime style of like what the animation actually looks like. It's like there was some that was more chibi and all that in the first volume, but not too many. Whereas in this, you've got a mix of styles. You've got like Aardman Entertainment did one. You know, I think there's at least 2 anime ones, but one was done by DArt, who are I forget if they're specifically African American or if they're just like, I don't know where exactly they're from, but they're black. Owned anime studio in Japan, which is really cool. They did The Pit in this. I will say I forget which studio did it, but the third one that got me. The third one, I think I've said to people that I've talked to about it, the third animation in Star Wars Visions Volume 2 affected me emotionally on a level that I don't think anything else Star Wars ever has. Like, to the point that because I was watching these all in one go, I was hoping that like the Aardman one, which came right after it, was going to be primarily comedy, because it's like I needed a bit of levity after like I was reduced to tears. So, and it was like, okay, and not that it like has like a really sad ending. It's just it's a very emotional ending. So thankfully the Aardman one was very lighthearted, and it's funny because the Aardman one is like one of maybe 2 that don't center around Jedi or Sith at all.
S- So I looked up D'Art Shitagio, and I'm seeing them referred to as both black owned and American owned. So probably is
so
African
yeah.
American.
But yeah, like I would say it's definitely worth it. Like your mileage may vary depending on the short, but I enjoyed pretty much all of them. Like I don't think there's any that I like disliked. I enjoyed pretty much all of them. And it was also just nice that in some cases you got studios from certain countries able to like, here's Star Wars through our cultural lens. Like, you know, there's a short in this, I forget the name of it, but it's done by a studio from India. And it is very obviously done by a
Just like
studio
Bollywood
from
Star
India.
Wars.
Well, not in that sense, but like aesthetically, like the train they're on at one point is like very done up to look like it could be from India. Like a building that these two get to is very like, it just looks very like of that culture, and all the characters are aesthetically like, hey, let's infuse our culture into this, is very nice. Kind of wish like the actual Star Wars stuff we got had that, but hey, I'll take it where I can get it. But yeah, I think that's really all I've got because I don't really want to go into detail about these. But yeah, it was interesting to have a varying amount of animation styles. I don't know if Aardman actually did like stop motion or just like computer animated to look like they do sometimes now.
Like
but aside from that,
like
they
Team
were like,
4 Stars Hiffle is CGI stop motion. Or
yeah,
no,
like,
it was just a Christmas special that was
yeah.
imitation stop motion.
Otherwise, there are 2 that I would say would definitely probably stop motion. Aside from that, which is really cool. But yeah, that's about all I've got really for that. So moving on to Tales of the Empire, which, swear to God, I keep thinking that it's Tales from, not Tales of,
Ah,
for this one. For some reason, I think it's just because in my mind I'm like, well, you wouldn't name them the exact same thing. You'd have Tales of the Jedi and Tales from the Empire. That makes more sense. But no, it's Tales of. I will say I prefer, and I'll probably bitch about this till the end of time, but I prefer the way this lays out the episodes, because with Tales of the Jedi, it was like one episode of Ahsoka, then 3 episodes of Count Dooku, then the other 2 episodes of Ahsoka.
ah,
So it's like, what? Like, either alternate or do 3 then 3.
hmm
Like, it seems really bizarre to have done it the way they did. But with this one, it's 3 episodes covering something, which I realized, like, I think maybe partway through the second one. Oh,
right.
this is a basically backstory for like the single episode of The Mandalorian that has Ahsoka in it.
And
Which,
also, I guess she features in the show Ahsoka, which I haven't gotten to
ah,
yet.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
still binging The Mandalorian in order to watch Ahsoka. Because
and
I'm looking at it as one show with 5 seasons that I'm now rewatching season 2 of.
right, and which, like, I will admit that soured me a little, because I'm like, does everything have to come back to Ahsoka? Dave Filoni, I get she's your Jedi OC, do not steal, but like, come on. And then the other 3 episodes following different characters, I was interested in both anyway, but I found that the second one more interesting. Um, although it is kind of funny how both are kind of like tales from the Empire, but both start like clearly before the end of
Yeah,
Revenge of the Sith. So it's like, or like even before Revenge of the Sith even starts. So it's like, huh? It's not
I think the
exactly
one
Tales
with
from the
the one
Empire.
yeah the one with Barriss is kind of during the end of Revenge of the Sith, because Revenge of the Sith takes place over like I think a few weeks.
Mm,
But it's like, she goes into jail during the Republic and she comes out during the Empire.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um yeah, whereas the other one, like Grievous is still knocking around, so that's clearly
Mhm.
either before or during. Well, no, it had to be before
Right.
the events of Revenge of the Sith, so it's a bit head scratching, because I'm like, you're advertising Empire, but both of these first episodes technically start
hmm
pre-Empire.
Yeah.
Like, it's a bit odd, but in any case, I really enjoyed this. I hope they do more of these. Like, I feel like I've heard that both this and Tales of the Jedi were potentially one-offs, and I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Do
Well,
more. They're
I
only
could
6
see like
episodes.
I could kind of see like the next one might be like Tales of the New Republic, which I don't know how successful that would be, because the New
Mm.
Republic in the modern version of Star Wars has not been treated very well.
Yeah. I mean, we don't even really
Tales
know
of the
what it's like,
Resistance
given.
maybe, but then again, the
Mm.
Resistance cartoon bombed.
um, I mean, like, I would generally be down for like episodes of this, because like the reason I liked the Dooku episodes in Jedi and all of Empire is that it was effectively fleshing out characters that didn't really get much to do, at least that
Mhm.
more like casual viewers would not necessarily know much about. So it was like, okay, so like as someone who is just now finally starting to properly watch 3D Clone Wars, um I have no idea who the main focus of the second half of Tales of the Empire is. But
Oh,
I
well,
know that she's
then
a
I won't
Clone Wars
spoil.
character.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
So it was like, okay, I don't know who she is, but at least I'll have like, I know she's from that cartoon, which is the only reason she's here. But it's like, I
Yeah,
would
it's
assume
that's
that
why
she's not
she's
a
there.
major.
They're not the ones that invented her. A lot of the
Yeah.
Jedi in that show started off in the comics beforehand, but
But yeah, but like it would be a fun way for them to just give characters that, for whatever reason, don't get much attention, to just have like a 3-episode arc
mhm.
just once, and then like, okay, there you go, and like just do multiple things of that. That's a way you could revisit that and just show off stuff. Like, this is the only way we ever got to see how Yaddle died, technically,
Yeah.
through the Tales of the Jedi stuff. Um,
a
but yeah.
Tales of
Uh,
Grogu's backstory would be really interesting.
yeah, I think that's all I've really got for Tales of the
Oh, we
Empire.
went over 5 minutes on that anyway.
Yeah. So moving on to the Acolyte, and it's funny because I went into this with very mixed opinions. I liked it, to be honest. Like I can see where, like, after I was finally done, I went through a YouTuber I watch, and I watched their reviews of all of the episodes, and a point they brought up was more that this feels like they knew they only had 8 episodes, so it's like, fuck it, we'll just do plot and that's it. Like, there's no downtime, no nothing. We're just plot, 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 plot. And like, I can kind of get that. Like, I do kind of wish that this, like, as much as I did like this, I do kind of wish that this had more time to breathe.
Right.
Even just 12
12
episodes,
episodes, yeah, I
really.
think that would have been any more than 12 and they would have been dragging it out. But 12, I think they could have done something really good.
Yeah, like, cause like, I feel like 8 episodes is just, I mean, it's generally not enough for most of these shows. If they're more episodic, then yeah, you could probably get away with that. Or if it was a much like more contained
Mhm.
narrative, then you could probably get away with 8. But yeah, this feels like, in a way, like, as much as this YouTuber I was watching was saying that, like, she thought they might have just wrote it to fit the 8 episodes. I
Mhm.
almost wonder if they were hoping to get more and then were
Maybe.
told, no, you're only getting 8. And so they had to be like, oh,
That's exactly the
I mean,
feeling
and
I
then
had.
scrambled to
Mm-hmm.
cut out
I
stuff.
I doubt they would have written the whole thing because it was, I mean, unless it was written by a
Oh,
newbie
yeah,
who had
yeah.
no professional experience. They probably wrote out an outline. They might have written out an
Right.
outline for 12 episodes and then gone into the pitch meeting and been told, okay, you have an 8-episode show. But
Right. So
unless they were a complete
yeah.
rookie, they wouldn't have written out full scripts for more than that.
Right, yeah. Like, I will admit, I do like, and I was told by other people that the um the Jedi outfits in this are just following on from established High Republic stuff. But
Makes sense.
it's funny because I just generally visually like that they have a distinct Jedi outfit for this era. Like, yeah, it's not that much different, but just that yellow does a lot to like distinguish. Oh, okay, yeah, this is a different era of the Republic and like before the prequels. Seemingly the idea is that this is set
Jed,
at the very end of the High Republic era.
Mhm.
Before we go into the start of the decline towards the prequels. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes, because there is potential that while they've lost a bunch of people already, they could either win them back in if they get a season 2, which I hope they do. And but at the same time, there is potential that they could either like stick the landing with a season 2, but they could also shit the bed in the season 2. So we'll see where we go from here, but I am looking forward to where we go from here. And
I hadn't even noticed that the outfits were any different. Like I'm looking at side by side, like Master Soul versus Mace Windu, and the only difference is like the saturation being higher in Soul's outfit.
Like yeah, it's generally just that he has like that very like golden yellow
Yeah.
outfit
Instead of tan.
Yeah. Which I'm curious, like I'm just one of those people where suddenly I'm like, I wonder why that changed, but oh well. Of course, it'll be interesting to see if a particular character that is, of course, it's funny. There are like 3 cameos in this show. I call it I call it 2, but one I was like, oh, that's just supposed to be a character of the same race, right? That wouldn't be the same character. Nope, it is. I guess it's minor enough. He doesn't actually.
I didn't realize it was set so close to the modern day until that character in the last episode showed up.
Like I forget. I forget what episode it is, but I know like it's basically a glorified cameo, so I will name him. Kiadi Mundi from the prequels shows up in this.
Oh, does he? I didn't realize. Oh, that's I saw people talking about him on Twitter, but I was avoiding spoilers at the time.
Yeah, and like
oh yeah, he's.
I just assumed, oh, that's just another character from the same race, right? And then like I looked it up, and nope, it's Kiadi Mundi.
He was an old man in the prequels, so that makes sense.
Yeah, they increased
but
his
even
age
then, this is
ish, right?
Like his race would have to be long lived in any case then, because this is set like at least 100 years before the prequels.
Like 90 years before them, I think.
I'm okay with that though too. So
I guess it's like
that's right. I was about to look up when the comics were set, but then the comics were pre-reboot, so they wouldn't be canon now anyway.
Well, I think they have like a new series of High Republic.
Yeah,
stuff.
but I haven't read those. No, I mean the ones about Kiadi Mundi.
Oh, okay.
The ones I read in the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, unless they cribbed from those, because I mean, it wouldn't be unlike Disney era,
right?
Star Wars to crib from previously existing stuff. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. Weird as it sounds, I'm kind of glad they downplayed the lightsaber battles and didn't rely too heavily on it. Especially because it's a TV budget, so they probably didn't have enough time to do like a crap ton of fights anyway. Which probably explains how some of them were shot. And I like the villain in this is like one of the more unique, at least to me, villains in Star Wars that we've had in a while.
That actually scared me.
Yeah, I think that's all I've got anyway. So moving on from me to me again anyway, because I'm gonna do this summary.
Do we have an on-screen stopwatch?
Yep. We have one ready to go whenever you are.
Yep.
Right, 3, 2, 1, start.
Okay, we open on Starkey and Georgie walking around what seems to be a park, talking to someone who turns out to be a hologram of Robin Hood as part of a museum exhibit, which malfunctions due to technical interference, electrical interference, and it turns out to be the major oak that was part of the exhibit. It turns out the major oak that was part of the exhibit has been stolen somehow, with K-9 managing to get a sample of a substance deemed alien before the three run off before Drake and June from the department can show up. When Griffin analyzes it back at the manor, the substance turns out to be somehow be paper mache, although still determined to be alien DNA related. Starkey, Georgie, Darius, and K-9 go down to the sewers, assuming that's where the aliens will likely be, and K-9 starts to finally experience some electromagnetic interference after not experiencing any earlier. Starkey holds back to check something, only to get separated and captured. Trying to blow a dog whistle to get K-9's attention later, only to garner the attention of the alien, which appears to be a massive bug. Oh, also, a postman has been captured as well. The interference finally drops, and K-9 comes to the rescue with the others, but Starkey and Georgie realize, due to some eggs present, that this is a hatchery, and that the centuripede, as Griffin identifies the alien, specifically needed an oak tree to complete its ship to send it and the eggs off-world. Drake shows up and sets off a gas bomb that will detonate in 4 minutes, with K-9 holding it off as best he can, while Starkey helps get the eggs into the orb ship thing, whatever. Darius, Georgie, and the postman manage to get out before the bomb goes off, but Starkey and K-9 don't, witnessing the centuripede transforming into an alien butterfly of sorts, and apparently helping the two escape before leaving the Earth with its young, who have also hatched into butterfly aliens. Starkey also reveals the alien gave him some acorns that it had stashed away since the Middle Ages, and we end the episode with Darius trying to get a reward for finding Griffin's missing letter of invitation for a science awards show, only to have to run away with it when the postman tries to take it back. The end.
Hey, you did that in 2 minutes, 26 seconds.
Ooh.
All right. So we move on from there to start our review with what we liked about the episode. Aaron.
All right, let me. Oh shoot! Of course, I didn't get my notes up here. Let me. Oh. What I liked in general about this. I like the fact that the professor has a bit of screen time in this episode. Don't really get to see much of him. Was it Professor Griffin?
Yep.
Yeah. I only had a chance to watch it once, and there's no subtitles on Tubi.
Yeah,
for this.
I noticed that.
So it's just like, okay, who is this character? Who is this character? Like, usually I can, or usually I have time.
And you haven't, I'm guessing, had time to go back and watch, or the inclination to go back and watch the whole show, right?
I haven't done it yet. No, I mean I can. I should really do that, and I should really get Sarah Jane Adventures down too. So I've watched pretty much everything else for Doctor Who, other than K-9 and Company in terms of spin-offs. So these are the only spin-off shows I haven't watched yet. So in full. But yeah, Professor Griffin. It was just kind of nice, I guess, to break up the action with the kids more with his presence, and show that he's actually doing something. So yeah, that's it was kind of nice to see. And I guess some of the stuff going on in the lab to watch him perform experiments and actually solve problems through his lab work.
All right. Alex, what did you like?
God, I'm trying to. I feel like I had something, but now I'm trying to remember. Like, it's one of those things where when there's only the 1.5 hour episode or so to cover, it's like, what do I really want to? Oh, that's right. The alien itself, at least in the like more sort of centipede-ish form, like not bad CGI for as lower budget as this show was dealing with. Because like we've seen some, and there are some effects in this that are like, oh, that's cheap.
Mm-hmm.
But this this effect is very, oh wow, for as little money as they were working on. And apparently they even had money to have like a physical, like practical thing there for certain shots. Because I noticed there's like a handful of shots where like it's Starkey looking at it and it's like sort of on screen, but not fully, or it's like obscured because it's like the camera's not focusing on it.
Right.
Like there is like a practical thing in the background just as like reference. And because it's like in hindsight, yeah, for shots like that, doing it CG probably wouldn't have been the best idea. So it was interesting that they even bothered to do that. So yeah, surprise. I mean, it's definitely one of those ones of like, so that's where the money went. Either for this episode or like for whatever block of episodes this was part of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that having something physical there is, at least judging by actors' accounts, a skill that Disney seems to be losing
Yeah.
track of, forgetting that just make believe isn't the only part of acting.
Mm.
So this goes on to me. What do I like? I guess I'll say the like fairy things at the end because they're memorable and they're interesting to look at, and it could have just been something super boring and forgetful, but it's like if we actually saw this again, I would recognize them and remember them. Um,
Mm.
they don't have much of a role in the story, so it's I don't want to oversell it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, oh wow, this is an interesting effect. It's kind of confusing that the eggs and the slugs both turn into the same thing. But hey, that would be for what I like about different scenes rather than aspects of the episode. So, all right, what do we dislike about this episode, Aaron?
Mm.
Hopefully, someone doesn't take the one that I locked onto.
um. I'm. I don't know if that would be a scene. I'm just gonna go with overall how Patrick the Postman is portrayed.
God damn it!
Mostly because, working in a union shop and being a union shop steward, seeing working class people just I would say displayed, but like shown in media as low intelligence, low effort, kind of worthless, especially government workers portrayed it in such a negative light and mostly just as buffoons meant for comic relief really, really irks me. I was actually going to mention this on the last podcast. I think, or no, it was the podcast before that where Cleo talks to the the attendant for the hotel, and kind of like just kind of treats her kind of flippantly. Of course, she's not like a real I was gonna say hostess. The person at the front of the hotel, I can't remember the name of what they do.
Oh, is it concierge?
Yeah, some kind of I think she referred to herself as concierge or something, but like yeah, the way that Cleo kind of just was like, "Hello, such and such person, can we?" And it was that was handled in a little bit better way too, but like this here is just really irksome. I've stopped listening to podcasts because they brag about how shitty they treat service people and stuff like that. It's just And also being in the working class and having done a lot of menial jobs and am still kind of in working class jobs because I don't see a lot of merit in salaried positions, especially where in my current work my current job. So sorry, it's getting late, so I'm fumbling over my words. But you know what I mean. I just don't like how it's
Mm.
portrayed.
Yeah.
So you just don't like the general like Monty Python shtick of having like bumbling side characters essentially.
Well, no, it's the fact that it's a working class person who's portrayed like this. You know, it's not just the fact that they're a bumbling side
Although I
character.
think male people in the US probably might be a little more middle class because they make a lot more money than the typical
N-
person.
Not really. Like I make more money than a male person right now,
Yeah, but
and I
I mean, from what I've heard, you make more than, yeah, middle class money. I don't
well,
know. I don't want to, I'm not going to.
yeah, I mean, I don't mind talking about how much I make. I make
Mhm.
$27 an hour right now, and that's up from
Okay.
making $13.95. I worked for 14 years in a grocery store, and the top tier pay for that was $13.95 an hour. So I'm making double what I make, but I also consider myself working class because I can't afford, like I with a lot of people can't afford a house. I could barely afford my car payments along with the car insurance and everything along with that. I'm still living in a one bedroom apartment, so I don't really feel middle class. But your mileage may vary depending on where you live and how far your money can take you on stuff. Madison's a very
Mm.
expensive town to live in nowadays, especially.
So let's see. So
Um,
if we convert that to a salary,
mm-hmm.
um, I'm
Actually,
missing some
yeah, the
zeros,
salary
I think.
people by me, some of them make less than I do. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, in terms of converting to a salary, as in 53 weeks. Oh no,
Mm-hmm.
you said hours. That I'm sitting there. I was like, why is 27 times 53 such a small number? 27 times
I know
40.
the postal workers here in Madison start out at $21 an hour
Mhm.
because I've known
Okay, so
several
oh yeah,
people.
so the results on Google said 23 to 50. So you, yeah, that is more than that. Um, I know that the numbers in the US are messed up because the averages, like if you take
Mhm.
off the top 5% of earners, the average drops substantially.
Mhm.
Let's
Mm.
see, median individual income US. I know this is a tangent, sorry. Um,
Mhm.
so the average huh, that's a very big range. So the median worker, it says, makes between 47K and 61K.
Yeah, I make
So if you
around
make more than half, if you make more than two-thirds of that, you're middle class. If
really.
you make more than double that, you're upper class.
Wow, I don't feel middle class. I feel working class. I feel so poor. Um, but of course
Granted,
I
there's also the argue of like culturally working class
Mm.
versus profession. Like you have a working class profession, um,
mm,
but you're making median or a, well, yeah, we'll just say median U.S. income.
yeah,
So
Mm.
depending on how you measure it, just like anything, this is the social psychologist in me. Literally anything you talk about, there's multiple ways to measure it. So
well, and there's also
Mm.
another way of measuring it is like s- before I came to this job, I could never have afforded a car or a larger apartment like what I'm living in now. So I would be stuck walking everywhere on
mhm,
foot or taking the bus and living in inefficiency, and that's not definitely not what I'm doing now. So
right.
that is a good thing.
Mm.
So but yeah,
Um,
it's
so
just
so 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 you're so but what I meant, so like when I say Monty Python esque, they're basically like everyone, lower class is an idiot, upper class is an idiot,
oh
upper class is also an idiot. It
yeah,
sounds like you don't like that. You're okay with like what's his name, Drake being an idiot, but not
yeah.
so much like the working class people also being equal idiots.
Yeah, like I feel like they could have taken the opportunity him as the adult in the room, but I think they kind of dumbed him down to make the kids look smarter and make the actions of the kids look smarter and more noble and whatnot. So,
Mm. I mean, they
um,
did. nickname him Postman Pat,
Mm-hmm.
I will say I
which is
think it's
ironic
very...
because
Oh, sorry,
Postman
go
Pat
ahead.
is Postman Pat is a smarter character than that. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's the name of a
he has
character
a
in
bit.
something else?
Yeah, Postman Pat is a British kid show.
Oh, okay. I
Oh,
was
okay.
wondering why he I'm like, he's a postman named Pat. I'm assuming that's where they got Postman Pat from. Why is he objecting to it? He's objecting to it because it's another thing. Okay.
Yeah. It's
Um,
like someone calling him Barney or something.
I will say I do think there's a marked difference in like how they handled him here versus like the closest equivalent show would be Sarah Jane Adventures. Sarah
Mm,
Jane Adventures would have probably tried to make him a little relatable. At the
yeah.
very least, they would have made more nuance to his character because
Mm-hmm.
literally the only nuance to his character is he gets annoyed one time and he's selfish enough. And I don't know if anybody was able to hear what he was saying. I had my speakers on, but when he shoves Georgie out of the way so that he can be the first one to escape, I listened to that 3 times and I couldn't hear what he was saying. Either
I think
way,
he
I
said
doubt it
leave
would
it.
have made a difference.
I think he said like "leave it to me, girly" or something like that. Of kind of like a, "I'm the man here. I'll open the manhole thing,"
Okay, so
sort of a thing.
that's not quite as bad. I thought he was just like, I should escape first because my job is more important than you all.
Yeah,
So
like I
okay,
thought
that
that's where it
actually
was
makes
gonna
me
go, but
dislike him a little bit less than I do.
mm.
But I'm gonna piggyback on this because mine's slightly different, but it's still closely related, and it's just I don't think his plot was needed. Like I get they're like, oh, we need paper, but it was like, do you need a whole mailman to say like? There's no like the whole thing about waiting for an invitation like was kind of dumb.
Mm.
The whole like needing a mailman was kind of dumb. It didn't go anywhere interesting. It wasn't particularly funny. He
Mm.
was a shitty mailman because he left all the mail in the sewers.
Yeah.
Which side note, I didn't realize they were supposed to be sewers all this time. I just thought that like, oh wow, we go into different tunnels underneath buildings a lot. Apparently, they're supposed to be the London sewers, and no, no, sewers are not, perfect corridors to walk through that are otherwise clean.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just didn't like that subplot being there at all. Like, if you had cut that completely and just said that like they stole paper from a business, nothing would have been
Yeah.
lost.
Well, yeah, like you could even argue that like if you were gonna take like a postman, why are you just taking a postman walking around with a bag instead of like an entire van? Or like again, like as you were talking about that, I'm like, why isn't it like a librarian and like having stolen like a ton of like having managed to get like a ton of books out of a library?
I could kind of see in the sense of like a postal worker, and I'm going to assume this is everywhere because it's kind of it's how you would have to do things in a place where driveways don't all go up to your front door. Like they park their postal vehicle and then they walk door to door or mailbox to mailbox depending on the country dropping off mail. So I could see
Mm.
why he would be out and about with a bag of mail. Um, but yeah, that's the only that's the only part that I would say makes sense.
Mm.
Alex, what did you
Um,
dislike? Unless you also have things to bitch about with the postman Peter.
no, thankfully I had one that
I mean
wasn't
Pat.
taken. Funnily enough, is like basically is as the counteract of my positive being effects. My negative is also effects related because good lord, when they're captured, when like Postman Pat and Starkey are like captured and like up against the wall, it is so clear that they are having to hold those things in front of them because otherwise they're just gonna fall over.
Yep.
And it's like, oh god, like that's again, you know where the money went. And like I even found myself kind of laughing when they're starting to go through those sewer tunnels and like which funny thing is I don't know if those when those have been shown in previous episodes because I think they just it's just a set that they've used a lot. I don't think they're always necessarily sewer tunnels. They're just random underground tunnels, but they just keep reusing the
I mean,
set and just
I've when
recontextualize what they are.
when I was doing the title card, I found I found a review that was quoting different episodes. They're like, "Oh, we can't go. It's too dangerous to take the streets. We should take the sewer because they didn't have the budget to shoot them walking down the street." And I was like, "Oh shit!" Like that's how I realized, like, "Oh shit, these are supposed to be sewers."
Yeah. Um, but yeah, like between that and then they're walking through those, and there's all that like the slime on the walls, and I'm like, this looks like oh, not Nickelodeon slime. It looks like Goosebumps slime.
Monster
And,
blood.
like that particular shade of green or whatever just made me think of Goosebumps. um, and it was just like, oh, that like the alien. I mean, it's a bit wonky when the alien's in like the butterfly form, but it's not that bad. Like again, for the budget this show has, like that one effect looks really good, but then it's like, oh, some of these like effects are just like it's kind of funny. Like they bring up the thing of like that alien stuff that they find turns out to be like effectively just paper mache, and I'm like, yeah, it's probably what they used to make those things to make it look like they were stuck up against the wall. Like, oh.
Yeah, when your budget is the lint in the couch, you don't want to draw attention to paper
Yeah,
mache.
pretty much.
All right, Aaron, what's your favorite scene?
Mm. Um, favorite scene, I think, is just gonna be like, because it's such a dumb thing, and every character in every movie always seems to do this. Let's pick at the green slime with our bare hands. We have no idea where this substance came from. We have no idea what it might do to us. Like, it could have melted him, for all we know of. But he's just sitting there, he's just like, oh, this couldn't possibly harm me. So, it's just, and they do, and it's not just the K-9 series that does this, but it's a lot of shows and movies do this too. So,
yeah.
Usually sometimes with terrible results too. So.
Which, I mean, it's better when there's terrible results because that means at least the writers know how stupid it is.
Yeah, this is what happens when you have a vaguely Doctor Who spin-off with the Doctor isn't there to say, don't touch that.
All right, Alex, what's your favorite? Yeah, wait, right, we're on. Yeah, favorite scene.
Yeah. Ooh,
like Aaron was talking about what she disliked, so I was like, wait, what was your favorite scene?
It's one of two, but I'm trying, and they're both related, but I'm trying to figure which I want to go with. I'll go with the introduction of it. The scene in the manor with Griffin where he's going on about how, oh, every year I get an invite to this scientific award show thingy, and every year I reject it. It's a tradition at this point, kind of a thing. Just like playing up the agoraphobia for comedy, but in a way that's just, yeah, they keep inviting me to that thing, but I never go. But I at least expect an invite.
So the funniest thing about that actually is because after you said that, I was about to make a joke. I was like, this is in the alternate universe where Zoom doesn't exist. But you know what happens? Like 5 minutes later, he gets a Zoom call.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume the idea is if he ever wins anything, that they do the old award show, like, pre-film thing where he's, like, accepting it or something. But yeah,
Mhm.
like, and, like, I think what really, like, what kind of sells it is that, like, at least what, like, makes it notable enough for me to even bring up is just the fact that, like, the fact that he hasn't got an invite yet seems like, at least the way the actor's playing it, seems like he seems almost slightly, like, surprised or offended
Oh, for sure.
that he
He's
hasn't.
he's like they've
It's
moved
like,
on they've moved on from me.
it's like, I mean, I don't want to go, but I at least appreciate the invite.
Right. All right. Do I have a favorite scene in this episode? I I don't think I really do. Like, I mean, I laughed at the Robin Hood scene. I don't know if that counts as a favorite. Because I was spending the whole time like, I wonder if this contradicts Robot of Sherwood. And then and then it turned out he was a robot, and I was like, that makes sense. Um, so I guess that's my favorite scene by process of elimination.
Yeah. Yeah, like, for the record, my other one was just gonna be when, like, Darius shows through K-9 that he's got the letter, and he's like, "Ah, yes.
Right?
I hope I
He's fucking,
can't
are
wait
you
to
in there?
not." Yeah,
You're a
like
fucking scientist assistant, but you don't understand the concept of like radio.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, just like the whole thing of like, the invite. I can't wait to not accept it. Uh,
All right, least favorite scene, Aaron.
um, I have a couple of them. Well, I had one, and then I realized one of my disliked overall for the serial is technically a scene. So, uh, I'm going. Her name's Georgie, right? Not Georgine.
yeah.
Yes.
For some reason, I keep writing her name as Georgine.
Mhm.
So I don't like it that Postman Pat has to sit there and carry out Georgie. I'm like, why is he throwing her over his back and like carrying her out? Can't she run? She can run, right? She could probably run faster than
Mm.
him.
I must have missed that.
Yeah, like, I
Yeah.
think like, having only seen it the once, while I do remember that, I forget what the reason for him doing that even is.
I've only
Like,
seen it
if it
once
was
too.
yeah, because in my head, I'm thinking it was probably she refused to leave Starkey behind,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that
so
makes
he
sense.
kind of
Mm.
yoinked her up to be like, "Nope, we're getting out of here,"
I
whether
think
you
that's
want to or
what it
not.
was. Yeah.
I'm
It might
assuming
be
this.
that.
But
Oh, wow! I was about to say I assume this isn't the last episode, but there's only one episode. Um,
yeah, we're just a bit over halfway through now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
oh, that early?
Because I think this episode
Oh,
either
you mean the
13
last?
or 14.
You mean halfway through the season? Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought you meant halfway through. It was that took place halfway through the episode.
Oh, no. Yeah, that happens,
Um,
like, almost near the end.
Yeah. For some reason, he thought that she wasn't moving fast enough, and that he could get her out faster by like carrying her
Mm.
out.
I mean, that also
uh,
could be it. I mean, again, like, when when they get to the manhole, he opts to go first rather than her, so he can open the manhole cover.
okay, so
So,
TARDIS says specifically Georgie doesn't want to leave the alien. So
Okay.
yeah.
basically, she had the same justification as Starkey,
Mm.
but then
Mm,
Patrick carried Georgie away and not
mm.
Starkey
In that
I
case,
because it's a
could.
Starkey episode essentially, even though it doesn't. It's not like it develops him in any way, but it's his episode.
Mm.
And that way, can I actually swap to my other least favorite scene, or
Okay.
should I save that one? Because I don't know if I'm going to
It,
be taking someone else's scene then.
I
oh,
mean,
fair.
we could maybe like me and Bill go, and then if we don't bring up
Yeah,
the scene you mean, then you can
Yeah,
bring
that
it
makes
up.
yeah,
sense.
that's a good idea.
Um,
So that
uh,
means on to Alex.
yep. I like in hindsight, because I went for effects, I didn't get to talk about Darius in this episode, so I will go with. I guess I'll just go with the scene of them arriving in the sewers because, like, Darius is just bitching so much about, God, I hope we get money for this, and like, oh, I hope I get free dry cleaning or something like that. And I'm like, I get he's usually supposed to be like the curmudgeon asshole of of like the three kids, but like he just feels and like maybe it's just because it's been a while since we've covered K-9, so like I've had time to forget. But like he's usually not necessarily this relentlessly a
I mean,
prick.
there's been multiple times where someone's favorite thing of the episode was, I didn't hate Darius this episode. I just want him to die. So maybe
Yeah,
it's
like
regression because I feel like the past few
hmm,
episodes before this, he might have been a little better. But
yeah. Like this does feel very square one again, where like he's just looking for a way to get money and stuff like that. And I'm oh yeah, like that was it. He's like, I hope there's a reward for this tree and like and all that. And it's just like again, like maybe it's because it's been such a big gap since we last covered K-9, but I just don't I remember him like at least starting to soften a bit. So him going right back to being just a complete asshole is like, where the hell did this come from? I mean, it's it's softened a bit by the fact that no one is taking his shit. Like
right.
Georgie, like in that in my least favorite scene, Georgie immediately claps back at him to be like telling him to shut the fuck up.
Mhm.
So there's at least that, but it's
Right.
still like, oh my god, he's just
Sh-
like the worst part of this episode in that he's just being a complete asshole.
Speaking of that scene, while I was watching it, something occurred to me, and I'm assuming it's just this show, but I figure I need to ask for my own peace of mind. Flashlights in Australia are not giant tubes you carry over your shoulder, right? You hold them in front of you like a normal person, right?
Yeah,
So,
these are just like I
so for some reason in the future, they have these shitty flashlights that will blind you if you hold them normally. So you have to hold them over your shoulder and make your arm tired instead of holding them normally.
mm, like I
I was thinking,
assume that's
I was like, maybe 10% chance it's an Australian thing,
mm.
but probably not.
The
No,
torches of
like
old.
it, I mean, those are weird in their own right because it looks like you'd basically just be able to hold them like like a torch that's lit by like being on fire, and it would do the same thing
Except
because it's basically a big
you'd be
neon
shining
light.
the flashlight part on your feet. It's-
Well, that's what I mean. It's like because it's basically lit up, and then there's like the little bit where the light actually comes out. It's like wouldn't both bits technically act as a torch because it
yeah,
basically looks like you've got a fluorescent light anyway.
right.
So it's a bit
It's
weird. I
so
guess it's like
weird.
we have to make this torch look futuristic when it's like, did you really have to? Or at least why did it have to light up like that? It could have been like
Right.
mo- black with like bits of light coming out of the sides
You're
or
like, well,
something.
if it's a normal flashlight, then they'll be too small and people won't know what they're holding. All right. So I'm going to go with I think I'm going to go with K-9 freezing up because it's like it seems just ridiculous that they didn't plan for something like that to happen. Like they're heading like
Mhm.
they're aware of all this interference.
Mhm.
Um and they're heading straight into it. Actually, actually, no, I'm going to correct that. It's what it was related to that, and that's why it was on my mind. But the scene that actually bothered me watching it is, how was there a fucking it's a distress signal that's based on a dog whistle, but the dog that can hear it wasn't the one who could tell that? Like, K-9, as we've just pointed out by him freezing up, he's not perfect by any means.
Yeah.
But a message being sent that is at a high frequency that only he can, that that doesn't come across as a message to a human. He should have been the first one on that to be like, "There's a message encoded here," and then maybe the others would have been like, "No, that's unrealistic," or something. But he shouldn't be the last one to figure it out. Or
Yeah.
I guess is K-9 a they? K-9 says this unit is not a boy, so I don't know.
Because it's like, especially given that this thing was emitting a high frequency, is like really early in the episode, like when they're analyzing the paper mache. So it's like, why wouldn't he have noticed then?
Right.
Or maybe we should just not have brought it up then. And to like, in a way, to that point, like, he even talks about like, oh, that interference didn't mess with me. I'm way more sophisticated than this crap. And then then it starts affecting him late in the episode, because I guess just because he's getting closer to the source of it.
That
But
was
it's
actually
like,
going to be one
Yeah.
of my. That was my other least favorite scene, is the fact that K-9's suddenly impenetrable EM shields are suddenly penetrable for plot reasons.
Yeah, I think Alex hit it on the head. I think because they were approaching the source, it was a whole lot stronger.
Okay.
And actually, this reminds me. So K-9 was made in 5000 AD. Okay, yeah, I don't think K-9 is set that late, right?
I think it's set in it's still set in the 20 40s or something like that, like relatively close to us. I think it's still in the 2000s millennium.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong.
It's not showing up immediately when I look at the K-9 page.
Oh yeah, it just says near future. Okay, so
Okay.
2050. There you go.
So it makes sense. Okay, so K-9's comments about the other robots being antiquated or whatever makes sense. I was sitting there, I was like, it would be hilarious if this is actually set the same year that he was built. So Aaron, did we cover what you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, that's
okay.
pretty much it.
All right, that moves us on to final thoughts, starting with Aaron.
I don't know. I mean, I do like kind of the environmental message presented in this. But I don't know. It's kind of weird. It feels like there's not, because I did watch the Black Hunger before I saw this one, and this one it feels like there's less stuff going on in it. Like there's less action and a little bit less plot or something. It's really kind of, I don't know. It feels really light. Special effects are okay. I thought that the bloom effect of the butterfly aliens was kind of helped kind of hide kind of the janginess of them. So yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was the greatest episode ever, that's for sure. So yeah, would I recommend watching it? Maybe as part of the series if you're a completionist. I don't think there's anything imperative that happens in this that, it's kind of its own standalone episode, so I don't think you would have to see this if you didn't want to. But yeah, I mean that's it. It's there. It exists. I mean, it had kind of an uplifting environmental message towards the end, one of hope and all that. So that's kind of cool. But that's pretty much all I can really say about it. So I do have further notes. So, but I'll comment on those afterwards.
Okay. All right, Alex. Final thoughts.
Yeah, this one's very just kind of there. I mean, like, again, it's got. I mean, I'd argue that the CGI in this is the best the show has had so far. Not that the bar is very high, but still. Um, and otherwise, yeah, this does feel very. Oh crap! We have 26 episodes. Quick, come up with something.
Mm-hmm.
Which to that end, I almost do wonder what the show would have been like if there'd been less um episodes, because like the budget they've clearly
What if there
got.
were 8 episodes?
I mean, I wouldn't go that ridiculous. But yeah, like if there had been like, oh god, I don't even know how many I'd cut out, but just generally less than 26, because I don't know if they necessarily had the stories for that many, maybe, but we'll see. Of course, it is weird now realizing that season-wise we're just over halfway through, because there's 26 episodes and we just covered the 14th. So it's like it feels a bit weird to be at the halfway point, and we're getting what, for lack of a better term, this feels very filler.
Mm-hmm.
Because like no one really gets advanced. Like arguably Darius gets regressed, and by the sounds of it, he'll be regressed in the next episode as well. So it's like
And on the filler note, I think
kinda
only about 1/3 of the season is actually related to the serialized plot, and the rest is just entirely episodic.
mm,
Although maybe the last half of the season is very different. Um,
mm,
I did see one list that described the last 3 episodes as a 3-parter. Even though I
ah.
wasn't seeing, definitely have not seen that up until now. But yeah, maybe there's more meat in the last half.
Possibly. Um, but yeah, like what Aaron said, I'd mainly suggest this if you're a completionist, or if you just want to see the both. Be amazed at how good that like bug alien looks, but then also how dreadful some of the other effects in this look. Because yeah, it's like, whew, that Aussie TV budget, like, yeah, they do not have a lot of money to work with, and it shows. Um, which is always a bit disappointing, but and like I give a bit of like I'm not as like harsh on it as I normally would be, as far as like, oh my god, this is the best I could do. But it is kind of a like, if you know what money you're working with, maybe work to that to make effects that look somewhat decent for the budget you've got. But oh well.
That's all.
Yep.
All right, so yeah, so mine, I was mainly looking at this from a writing story perspective, and it really just felt hollow. It felt like you had a kind of an outer shell of like this story about the oak tree and the alien, and then there was nothing filling it. Um, and
Mm.
part of that is literally just stepping back into K-9 after, God, how long has it been since the last K-9 we did? Um,
Um,
does our master sheet even? Our master sheet doesn't have dates on it, so I would have to look around for it. But it's been long enough that the feeling of K-9 was not fresh in my mind, and this is not a shining example of the show. This is, I would probably say, a below average episode.
Hmm.
It's not like offensively awful, but it definitely is not like something that catches my, feels like, yeah, interesting, and uh, you know makes me feel like, oh yeah, this is what K-9 is good at, or this is me. I really want to see these interactions between Georgie and K-9 or something. It's
Mm.
just not there.
Mm.
Oh, there we go. Our last K-9 episode. Oh shit, it's been that long.
Yeah, it was
January of
January.
2023.
Yeah.
So it's been how has it been almost 2 years? I guess
I think
that's
it's
harsh.
uh,
Okay.
I mean, looking at it, that was a season with no new stuff, and then the
Right.
next one
Yeah,
after
there's
we were
that,
doing a
and
bunch
it's
of stuff, and then
also we had a lot of delays starting when Rand first got sick, and then even
mm,
continuing till recently, because we only have 3 people regularly attending now, so there's a lot of delays.
mm,
So we've only done a year's worth of content since then, but it's been
mm.
almost 2 years.
Yeah, and when we covered Children of Earth in last season, we covered it all in one go, like all one after the
Yeah, we
other.
did
So,
5 episodes instead of 3.
mm.
All right. Ratings, Aaron.
um, probably going to give this like a solid 3.0.
3.0, very generous rating. Alex.
Hmm. I'll give it a 2.5, and the only reason I'm not going lower is because of the bug.
Yeah, I feel like it gets like a 0.25 for the like actually having a message.
Hmm.
Mm.
Which makes it a 2.5 for
I'd like to
so
amend my score. May I make it a
okay.
2.5 as well?
2.5, so unanimous 2.5s.
Yeah.
All right. So 2.5, 2.5, and 2.5. Average out to 2.5. So out of 480 things reviewed, that places this as 452 or tied for 447. It is on par with K-9 Fear itself and K-9 Dream Eaters. It is not as good as Torchwood Greeks Bearing Gifts, K-9 Curse of Anubis, Torchwood Something Borrowed, and it is better than Torchwood Day 1, Sarah Jane Adventures Mona Lisa's Revenge, and Class the Lost is the next spin-off. That's quite a while lower. So yeah, one of our lower
That and
spin-off
Torchwood
ratings, but it is
Cyberwoman.
not unusual for K-9. There are 3 2.5s for K-9.
I
All
do have
right.
further notes.
Okay.
Just one. At first I thought Darius would have a change of heart and complete the quest to deliver the mail, but he was just stealing it.
Well, it wasn't even stealing the mail, right? He just took the one letter for the professor,
Mm-hmm.
and that was it, right?
Oh no, this is him like
Yeah.
bending over the bag before he even finds the letter for the professor. I'm like, oh cool, he's going to bend
Oh,
over,
got
pick up
you.
the bag, and like continue like delivering the mail. And this is
Oh
like,
yeah, and he was just throwing it all on the
yeah,
floor or in the
exactly. I'm
sewer.
like, wait a second.
Well, actually, thank you for that aside because it gave me time to actually look up the writer of next episode. All right, so that is all of our thoughts on The Last Oak Tree. Please let us know in the comments what you thought of this story if you've watched it. Don't forget to like the video if you've listened this far, and follow us on Twitch or subscribe on YouTube in order to get our new podcasts. Next time, we continue with our look at K-9 with Black Hunger, written by Chris Roach and starring Robert Maloney as Professor Alistair Griffin, Keegan Joyce as Starkey, Philippa Coulthard as Georgie Turner, Daniel Weber as Darius Pike, and John Leeson as the voice of K-9. See you then.